Hello ninjas, how's everyone going today? How's it going? AD, AJ? Is that both of you? One of you? Oh, I need to get rid of this Powerups thing. It's in the way. Oh, we have our first cat sighting. Hello, Jin. Let's make this list invisible. So how's everyone's weekend? Everyone's keeping well? Oh. If I can try and avoid getting the purple one. Oh no. One thing. Oh, goodness me. Dead. AD, how's it going, AD? As always, we'll give it a few minutes, just so there's enough time for everyone to get here. Oh, uh-oh. Do you have any good games for me to play? Ah, Blake, how's it going? Keeping well? There we go. I've currently got this version of the game to spawn a power-up every single time a brick gets hit. Oh no. There we go. Uh-oh. I always try and avoid the purple ones because I've made them actually bad. The purple gems make your paddle smaller. Which is something we don't necessarily have to do in your game. Because currently we've got just the one power-up, when last we were making this. And I want to show you guys how you can make your own power-ups in various different ways. And if you want, you can make some negative ones. Because one example of a power-up that's kind of negative for this game is if the bouncy balls speed up. The game is easier if they're going slower like this. So the game is much easier. The other thing that we could do, don't know if we'll get to it today, and I don't know if we'll get to it on a different day either. We could introduce new levels, so when there are no more bricks left, it will create you a new level and start you again. Let's just let this die. Oh, Donut Part 3. All right, let's see it. You guys have been bored in lockdown? Fair enough, fair enough. Not a game. That's all right, Blake. We can watch Donut Part 3. Alrighty. Let's have a look at... Oh yeah, there it is. Donut 3.0. Okay. Press the green flag. Please don't hate. No advertising. Yeah, I got my first, the first on this channel. I've encountered them before in YouTube, but the first on this Futures Lab channel, I got the first very suspicious string of YouTube comments from some kind of scammer. All right, green flag. Is there music playing? Text to speech? Oh yes, it's speaking. I think I've got the audio muted on my streaming, although I can't hear it through my TV either. So, when space key pressed. Right, I've got to hit space key.
Hello. I have gained a few kilograms since you last saw me, and I am not happy about that. So let's go to the gym. I have moved if you didn't know. Let's get working.
Oh, it's so loud.
I think that's good enough for now. Let's go home. Now you can see where I lie. How about we get a balloon so we can do that where it changes your voice? I got it, so come on.
You might not be able to hear this but you might be getting it through my microphone.
Hello. Well, did I just say wow in German? Was in the Welt? Cool, I said what in the world in German? Wie wichtig?
Aww, it ended. Let's do it again.
That's really interesting. So looking at the code, you can set voice to
Wow, again, this is crazy. What in the world?
alto, tenor, squeak, giant, or kitten.
Aww, it ended again. So what we do now? Huh? You know they do say an apple is 80 the doctor away. You know they do say an apple is 80 the doctor away. But now see you tomorrow.
I might have done that. I might have clicked on the wrong thing. Or maybe not. Broadcast Rise My Balloon 2. Broadcast Rise My Balloon. When I receive haha. Where do you broadcast haha? Does the balloon have some? Rise My Balloon 2. Got some more stuff here. Set language to Dutch. Interesting. Yeah. The text to speech synthesis is really impressive. Banshee, Jin. If you want to see the cats, I'll try and call them. We'll see if they arrive. But they're cats. They're not like dogs. They don't tend to come when they're called. All right. Well, that actually worked out fine. Hopefully, you got some audio there of me watching that animation, and it wasn't just me staring while you heard nothing. Yeah, that's very interesting. The text to speech there's a lot of stuff there that's very interesting. I'm very impressed at the number of different settings that they have for different languages and different voice types and such. All right, well, that's actually taken us perfectly up to the amount of time that we usually wait. So let us go into our Breakout Part 2. Alrighty. So if you already have your Breakout Part 2 from last Thursday is when we did it, I'm pretty sure, then you can just use that, just keep working on that project. Otherwise, I've put a link into chat, so you can click on you can click on that, and you can hit remix. Now I've got to remember to save this as a copy. Good, excellent. All right, cool. So, in fact, what I'll do is I'll share. And I'll put this link, because this is, if you get stuck, this is the link that I'll be updating. Breakout Part 2 copy, because this is the one that will become Breakout Part 3 when I post this video. I'll move this over here so that I can have a look at my notes, how I made it before. All right. So most of what we're going to be doing today is all going to be in the Powerup sprite. So I'm just going to assume that everyone's here familiar with Scratch. If you aren't, then let me know, because this is part 3 of a series. and no one's written in chat, "Hey, I'm new" or anything. So I'm not gonna do the sort of normal how to get to scratch and that kind of thing. I'm just gonna take you straight in. All right, so we don't have a power up here. Interesting. Okay, well, this is the wrong one. Alrighty. Well, give me 1 second. I'm going to get the right breakout. What about this one? I was pretty sure I saved it with the... Right, let's have a look inside here. No, this one doesn't have the power up either. Alright, so the links that I have... the links that I have provided with you aren't actually up to date. That's actually Breakout Part 1. Oh yes, thanks for that. All right, so AD, what's the problem with your Breakout? Let me have a look. Let's fix that. And then what we will do is we will proceed from there. All right, so let me have a look at Yo-Yo Cake. What I'll do is, if you're watching this video later, like not watching it live, I will up-to-date part 2. I thought I did this before, but it looks like it's reverted to like part 1 for whatever weird reason. Must have done something wrong with the saving. All right, so let's have a look at Yo-Yo Cake. Do you have your game published, AD? View all, Breakout. All right, so let's hit play. Oh yeah, and you did keyboard controls. Right, oh wow. That's amazing. All right, I have a feeling I know why. So, let's have a look at this. So the code in the Powerup. Let's have a look at what happens when the Powerup touches the paddle. So that is right here. If touching paddle, then create clone of ball, change the variable balls by 1, and then you repeat that until touching the line. So what are we missing if the power-up touches the paddle? If the power-up ends up getting all the way to the line, it will delete itself. But if it touches the paddle, it also needs to delete itself. So what you need to do, AD, is you need to grab a delete this clone and put it right underneath change balls by 1, okay? So if touching paddle, then create clone of ball, change balls by 1, delete this clone. All right, now, while you're sorting that out, I'm going to leave this code up for you. I am going to, super quick, get this sorted. I wonder if there's an easy way. So, in fact, that's the wrong one. Yes. So if I even, yeah, I can download this, export. Yeah, there we go. And then part 2 copy. Need to upload. If you're interested how this works, by the way, so if you export a sprite, it saves it to your computer in downloads probably. Powerup sprite. And then you can go upload a sprite, and it will have all of its code in it. So variables, spawn Powerup X, spawn Powerup Y. The brick. All right. So I just need to get us up to date for let's very quickly, what we need is to get an if, put that there. No, we're fine. Put this there. Gonna pick random 1 to 3 equals 1. We want to set spawn power up X and set spawn power up Y to our X and our Y. And we also need, so this stuff, as I said before, this is stuff that don't need to, I need to frantically do this quickly so that I can get up to speed and we can start our part 3. All right, the other thing that I need to do is forever if the number of balls ever goes down below 1, okay, so the brick generates the coordinates for the power-up to go to when they die. The ball sets the number of balls to 1 at the end. Change the number of balls by -1. And we need that stop all, because that happens over here if the balls ever go below 1, and we need to make sure that they delete their clones. So the balls are clones now. Let's test this. Please work. Oh wait, of course. We need to show. Okay. Alright, cool. We're getting power-ups. Oh, I need to also do the show height for power-up maybe. Alright, so if this goes down there, yep, good, we lose. Ah, yes. So we need to create the clones of the power-ups. Alright, well, I'm not sure how I lost all that progress on Breakout Part 2, but we're up to date now. Alright, so, oh, you have the same problem, Blake? Have you done the same solution? Have you found that it works now? When I solved it for AD? Oh, goodness me. Let me lose. Good. Great. All right, we're up to date. All right, let's. So I'll have a quick look at Blake's to make sure that he's all up to date. Oh no, we want to go to Infamous. All righty. We go to Infamous's channel. We view all, and we look at Breakout. Okay, so yours is fine. It's spawning balls when it should be. Yeah, that's fine. How often do you spawn? Yeah, 1 to 4. Cool. Pick random 1 to 4 equals 1. All right. Yours is fine, Blake. I'm playing it now, and it seems fine. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let me know in chat if like if you don't like, I mean, how often you get the power-ups, then by all means you can change this code here, that if pick random 1 to 4 equals 1. So that means there's a 1 in 4 chance to spawn a power-up, which currently does only one thing, which is make you an extra ball. If you want that to happen less often, then you can change that. But don't worry about it right now, because today we're going to add new power-ups. All right, so after that little side quest there, we are ready to go. So make sure that you've got your code ready and you're ready to follow me. So what we're going to do, make sure I've got this one up. Okay, so we're going to go to the Powerup code. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a system using a list into our Powerup code that basically allows us to add as many power-ups as we want. Okay? So, first things first. Got our Powerup code. First things first, we need to make the list of our power-ups. So follow me, and we're going to do this code together. So we need to go to Events. We need to get a when green flag clicked. We need to get we need to make a new list. So you go to the left side, you click on Variables, and we're not going to make a variable, we're going to make a list. So click on Make a List. And this list is going to be called Power-Ups. Okay. So, and then what we need to do is, because we're going to build this list when the game begins, and just like variables, variables, remember, what was the last thing you put in them, and lists do the same thing. So the first thing we need to do is we need to delete all of the list. So right underneath, when green flag clicked, we want to delete all of power-ups. You should have all this stuff here after you've made your list. And this list needs to be for all sprites. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add thing to power-ups. So we're going to add extra ball to power-ups. In fact, I'm going to put that without a space. I don't know if it makes a big difference. When you're doing certain coding, sometimes you can lose the... sometimes you have problems if you try and put spaces. So I don't know if Scratch is going to worry about that with the list, but just in case. So add extra ball to power-ups. Then let's add thing to power-ups faster. And then let's add thing to power-ups slower. It's a bit bigger for you guys to see. And let's just stick at those for now. We've got 3 power-ups. So if you hit go, the green flag, your power-ups list should have 3 things on it: extra ball, faster, and slower. This list doesn't do anything yet, but you should see this list happen, and each time you start, there should only be 3 things on it. You don't want there to be like 6 things on it. All right. So hopefully everyone's following me there. What we are going to do now is we are going to create a variable for the power-ups that is this sprite only. It's what's called a local variable. We've covered this before, but when we make a variable that's global, there is one variable that contains the information and it applies to all sprites. So for example, the player's score, could be a global variable that is only ever for, that is the same. But let's say you had 4 different players. You would then need local variables that only applied to each individual player. If you had hit points for lots of enemies in like an adventure game, they would each need to have their own local variable that contained their own hit points variable. So that's the difference between global variables, which is one variable for that everyone refers to, that all of the sprites refer to in the program, or a local variable, which only one sprite refers to. And the thing that's really cool about local variables is that if you create a bunch of clones, like we do with our power-ups, they can have their own local variable. So you can create a bunch of clones that are all slightly different because their own local variables make them slightly different. Okay, so what we're going to use this for is we are going to, when I start as clone, we are going to, so we need to create one, let's create one variable for the time being. So we're going to go to variables, we're going to click on make a variable. We need to make sure that we select for this sprite only. Very important, for this sprite only. And we're going to call this variable Powerup type, okay? Because this is the type of power-up that each variable needs to know which power-up it is. Am I the power-up that makes an extra ball? Am I the power-up that makes the paddle wider? Am I the power-up that speeds things up or slows things down? So now, when you make that variable, it should say something like power-up and then a colon, which is the 2 dots, power-up type. This means it's a local variable for only one sprite. And if you click on a different sprite like Brick, you'll notice it doesn't have access to the power-up type variable, okay? So this is going to be really useful in the way that it interacts with our clones. So now what we need to do is we need to grab a set variable 2. So grab one of those and put it right above the show in when I start as clone. So when I start as clone, set, and the variable we want to set is powerup type, and then we're going to put some more stuff in this where it says 0, okay? So when I start as clone, we want to set it to item, so first of all, just grab item 1 of power-ups. So you can see under your list code, a sort of very dark orange, almost red, you should have item 1 of power-ups. So this item 1 will take whatever number is next to our list, and it will change the variable to be that word. So if we say set power-up type to item 1 of power-ups, currently, every time we make a clone of our power-up, it will always set the variable power-up type to extra ball, because that's item 1 of our list. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. What we want to do is we want to create some code that chooses a random number from our list. We introduce a bit of chaos, as I like to say. How do we introduce chaos? What are we going to need? Write your answers in chat now. What do we need to select a random item from this list? I'll give you some time. The clue is it's green, it's in operators. Try and get your answers in. We need a pick random. So pick random, and we're going to put that over the 1. So now our code should say set powerup type to item pick random 1 to 10 of power-ups. But do we have 10 different items to choose from our list? No. Currently, we only have 3. Miss Yeti, how's it going? Keeping well? Have you used Scratch before? I'm going to file, save now. I'm just going to put an updated link to the project that we're working on right now. So you can just click on this and click, what's it called? Remix, and you can follow along with us, okay? We're currently learning how to build a list. Currently learning how to build a list of power-ups that can be expanded if we want to. The more power-ups you want to add into a game. We're putting it specifically into a Breakout game, but this code could work in any game. If ever I'm looking over here, by the way, I'm looking at chat. That's the monitor that I've got my chat on. So if you see me just like talking over here, that's why. I've got to remember to look at the camera more. All right, perfect, wonderful. Good to hear, Ms. Yeti. All right, so you should be able to follow along. We're currently in the Powerup code, okay? So this code, currently what it does is when we're playing the game, when the ball hits the brick, it makes a little gem fall out. And currently the gem only does one thing, and that makes us extra balls while we're playing this Breakout game. But we want to start being able to have different types of power-ups that do different types of things. So that's where we're up to right now. All right, so we've got our line set power-up type to item pick random 1 to 10 of power-ups. But we don't want pick random 1 to 10. Now we could say item pick random 1 to 3, because we have 3 items in our power-ups list, right? 3 items, extra ball, faster, and slower. But what happens if you want to add more items, more power-up types to the code? You'll have to go in and change this number every single time. And if you forget, you'll have glitches where it's not selecting some of the later power-ups. So let's future-proof ourselves against that. I'm pretty sure we should be able to. Yes. So if you go to variables, the dark orange category on the left, and if you grab, there should be one of the. Am I ignoring your chat messages, Blake? I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Chat is pretty quiet today. Yeah, let me know if you have any other issues, Blake, okay? So, what we need to do is we need to grab length of power-ups. Length of power-ups. So grab this piece of code here, drag it over to where we've got 10 in our pick random and drop it in. So now, when iStarters clone should set the power-up type, which is our variable that keeps track of each individual power-up that falls from a brick, and decides what type of power-up it is, it's going to choose one at random between 1 and a number that is however long that list is. So if our list is 5 long, it'll pick a random number from 1 to 5. Currently, it's picking a random number from 1 to 3, that kind of thing. Yep, no problems. Once you're on Scratch, I'll keep saving this. So if you're a little bit unsure about where we're up to, just let me know. I'll hit save, and you'll be able to be up to where we're up to. Okay, so we've got our code now, and this is nicely future-proofed, and this is very important. Being able to use numbers, like there's a term called a magic number in coding, a magic number. And a good example of a magic number is, for example, do we have any magic numbers? Yes. All these are magic numbers. These are all numbers that we've decided. But if you ever want to change those numbers, you've got to go into the code and change all the code for how many bricks we make. You've got to do that manually. We could have been clever and used more variables with that. And that way, all we need to do is change the variables at the beginning of the game, and it would change how big the bricks were, how many of them we made, that kind of thing. So this is a way of avoiding using magic numbers, which you want to do. You want to avoid using magic numbers. Yep, no problems. This game does actually work with iPads, by the way, and tablets. Like it is this game, you can play it with tablets, but I understand if you'd prefer to use your laptop, Mezietti. All right, so hopefully everyone's still with me. What we need to do now is we need to put in some code that decides what happens when different types of power-ups get collected. So our power-ups get collected in a very simple piece of code, and it's if touching paddle, then, and everything that happens inside that if is the code that happens when the power-up is collected. So currently it only does one thing. It creates a clone of our ball sprite, it changes the ball's variable by 1, and then it deletes the clone of the power-up. Because if you don't delete the clone of the power-up, you keep getting the power-up over and over and over again. All right, so yes, we all have it. We all have an image of you running around your house, like, gotta get the laptop, gotta get ready to code. Mezietti, yep, absolutely. All right, so what we need to do now is we need to add in some additional code that decides what is going to happen for each power-up. Now, this is actually going to look fairly easy to look at in Scratch. So I'll move this across a bit out of the way. So the easiest way we're going to do this is we're going to start creating ifs inside our if touching paddle. So everyone with me in the power-up code, take this create clone of ball and drag that whole block of 3 lines out of there. We've got if touching paddle, then. What we're going to do is we're going to make 3 ifs, one on top of another. We're going to grab, actually we'll just make 2. We'll make 2. So we need an if, and then we need another if. And you need to make sure that they're on top of each other and not inside each other. So now we've got if touching paddle, then we've got one if, then we've got another if. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create inside each of these ifs a particular power-up is going to work. So first things first, we need to get an equals operator. So go to operators. We need to get the it's space equals 50 is what it's going to default to. We're going to change that, of course. But grab this equals operator, and it will fit nicely inside the if. And then do that for the other if as well. So we've now got 2 if something equals something, then. All right, nice and easy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to variables. And we need to get our power-up type variable. Very important that you get power-up type variable. Not your list, it needs to be the variable. Okay? And we need to put these both inside the first values of those 2 ifs. And then we're going to name the first one extra ball. Now look how you have spelt extra ball inside power-ups, the list, and make sure you spell it exactly the same way. If there's a space in one, if there's uppercase or lowercase, make sure it's exactly the same. And then grab your code for create clone of ball, these 3 lines, and put it inside that if. So now we have, if the power-up type is extra ball, then do this stuff, which we know this creates the ball and then deletes the power-up. Okay? Ooh. Are you all commiserating with the laptops that you're using? Oh, you lost a bunch of photos, AD. That is unfortunate. Yeah, I've actually found Windows 10 runs pretty well. Windows 8 was actually really quite frustrating. I was using Windows 8, but I find that Windows 10 actually runs pretty well, even on slightly older laptops. Oh wow, you've got a Predator laptop, Blake. Very nice. All right, I think I've actually seen it. I think you brought it into the Coder Dojo before the quarantine. Okay, so hopefully you guys are all following me. So we've got this code here. If Powerup type equals extra ball, then create clone of ball, change balls by 1, delete this clone. I'm going to save this now. Make sure you guys are saving as well. Now what we need to do is we need to create a power-up that makes the ball go slower. So what we need to do is if power-up type equals, well, let's go faster first, because I've got that first in my list. If power-up type equals faster, okay? So what variable do we need to change to make this power-up work? Write your answers in chat now. Which variable do we need to change to make this power-up work? So we're going to get a change variable. We're going to put it inside. And then underneath that, we're going to need to delete this clone. And the variable that we need to change is ball speed. Let's leave it on 1 for now. Change ball speed by 1. You can experiment with some different numbers here if you like. Make it go up by 2 or 3. But let's leave it at 1 because, yeah, they can already get pretty fast as it is. And so then what we're going to do is so these are 2 of our power-ups. And you can see this is actually kind of nice to look at. It's sort of, we've got this nice little green bit which has got the word that's our power-up and then everything that power-up does. So let's right-click on our if with if power-up type equals faster. Right-click on the if, duplicate, and put this directly below. And make sure it's directly below, not sucked up inside of the other one, our faster code. And now let's change this code so that it's if power-up type equals slower. Then let's change the ball speed by a negative number. Let's try -3. I know it's a lot more than the faster changes by, but let's try it. You guys can change. In fact, we can all change it later if we want. So currently we only have one. The power-ups all look the same, so we're not going to be able to tell the difference. But let's give that a test. I'm just going to hide our list and our variable. Actually, I'll make the variable visible just because I'm curious. Okay, so you can see some of them. In fact, what I'll do as well is I'll change the ball speed. I'll make the ball speed variable visible as well. Oh yeah, I think that one made the ball slow down. Come on, another power up. Yep. I think that made it speed up. Oh, that one made the extra ball. There we go. Whoop. So, looks to be working so far. We've got different power-ups that do different things. Have you got a sore tooth, Blake? Oh dear. Oh, you found a good computer tower for $250. Very nice. Yeah, the Windows license can be pretty expensive. Although, if you have a Windows account, sometimes you don't need to rebuy it. But you guys are pretty young, most of you, so that can be a bit of a difficulty, having online accounts and that kind of thing. Yeah, that's one of the advantages of consoles. If you like to play games, they're just a lot cheaper than high-end computers. All right, so hopefully we've got our 3 power-ups working. Extra ball, faster, and slower. So what we're going to do now is we are going to make a power-up that makes the ball bigger. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the ball. And we're going to make a new variable called ball size. We're going to click a variable, ball size. And we're going to go set ball size to, let's set it to 50. So we need to set this as a variable, set ball size to 50. And then what we need to do is we need to grab a set size from the looks category and put it inside our forever loop underneath when I start as clone. Okay, so it's going to say set size to 100%. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our variables section. We're going to grab the ball size variable and we're going to drop it straight inside that 100. So let's see what this looks like. Let's hit play. Hopefully you followed that through. I'll give you some time to make sure. And now the bouncy ball that you start with is a lot smaller. Okay. So that is good. I was just fixing a little bit of inconsistency with my code. Yeah, that's good. Just going to test one more thing. I just want to see if that... Yeah, good. All right. So, how are you guys going with all of that? You have a Windows 95 install disk. Yeah, that's not going to cut it these days. Even XP doesn't work anymore. Or it does work, but it's very dangerous. You shouldn't use it because if you go on the internet with Windows XP, you don't have it. Like, Microsoft haven't updated the security of a bunch of things. It makes you very vulnerable to hacking and that kind of thing. Doing the installer on DOSBox. Love it. Very nice. All right. So, we've got our code here that sets a variable to dictate how large the bouncy ball is. And we have a piece of code that sets the size, which 100% is normal size. Anything higher than that is bigger. Anything lower than that is smaller. And I've decided that the bouncy ball is going to start off at like 50% size. So now what we're going to do is there's 2 different ways you can do this. And it's entirely up to you which one you want to do. So first of all, we're going to make a new power-up. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to add it to our list. So let's grab an add thing to power-ups. This needs to go into our Powerup code right underneath when green flag clicked, where we build our list. And we're going to name this thing bigger. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go, once you've done that, we're going to go back to the when I start as clone code, where we've got all of our power-ups individual code. Let's right click on if. Oh, Blake, are you wanting the cats? Yep, none of them have arrived just yet. We'll see if they make a little cameo later. So now we need to right-click on this if next to one of the power-ups. It doesn't actually matter too much. I'm going to right-click on the if next to power-up, type slower. And then you need to put this directly underneath. Directly underneath. Make sure that it's not sucked up inside any of the other ifs, and make sure that it's not too low. You need to make sure it's directly underneath. You should have them all in one nice line, or nicely aligned. Now, this power-up is going to be bigger. Now, what variable should we change to make the bouncy balls bigger? Write your answers in chat now. And what two ways can we do this? There's two different ways that we can do this. And very handily, we've already got this delete this clone is inside the Powerup code. Yeah, React OS is like a safe Windows XP. There was a project, it might even be React OS, there was a project to update Windows XP and keep it going, but like, whenever you don't have the official support and you're trying to build a whole OS, things get real messy. Like, I don't know if you've ever done a Linux install, but Linux installs can be quite hard. All right, I hope you've got your guesses in, because the variable that we need to change for our bigger power-up type is ball size. And there's a few ways we can do this. We can just change it by 10 to make it get bigger, and more power-ups can keep adding to that. Or there's the other way, which is just set ball size to 100. So let's test both of them. So I don't mind which one you do. One of them is going to be a bit more incremental. And of course, what I've got to do is I've got to try and get the right power up. So what I'm going to do is, just for now, I'm going to change my code so that power-ups spawn more often, which you guys could even do yourself as well. Hey, there we go. So you can see we very obviously made the balls go from 50% to 100%. So you can do it that way if you want. They'll never get beyond 50%, beyond 100%, which is how they were before anyway. Or if you want, you can get like change ball size by 10 or 25, something like that, and they can get incrementally bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with change our bouncy ball size by 25. All right. So let's give some visual indication of what power-ups we have. Let's go to costumes and let's name all of these. I'm just going to make my power-ups list visible. And let's name all of these costumes. So let's do a bit of art. So you can do some clever things by like, if you did the lesson where we made the Easter egg hunting game, you can grab, you can select these sprites. You can, well, for one thing, I should say, first, you can duplicate these costumes. So you guys should already know how to like duplicate costumes and get new costumes over on the left here. And if you right click on a costume and duplicate it, then you can do some cool stuff like by selecting it with the select tool, and then going to fill, and then grabbing like this shader on the right here, and then you can do some like interesting stuff like this. And you can make different colored gems, which is kind of interesting. So that's what I did for my art. But one thing that I did differently was I got a ball costume, the same as the bouncy ball that we have. And I moved it up and I made it a bit smaller. And normally I don't recommend making costumes smaller in the art editor, but in this case I think it's just easiest. And then I drew a little +1 on it. +1. Ah, there we go. And that way it was a bit more obvious, like which what some of the sprites did. But you don't have to do that. You can just have different colored gems. You could get pixel art. Costumes from the internet and upload them. And then the important thing is, what I would do just to make doubly certain is make sure that they're in the right order. So if your list is extra ball, faster, slower, and bigger, make sure that the different colors that you want for each of the gems are also in the right order. And then name them the same, the costumes the same, okay? So I'll give you guys some time just to make some decisions about what kind of graphics you want, what kind of colors you want. But make sure they're all named correctly and they're all in the same order, okay? All right, let's have a quick look at chat while everyone's doing that. Ah, yes, now we're talking about Lubuntu. I've used Ubuntu before. I've used oh goodness, it was named after, it was like Mint something. I used a version of Debian for a while. Ah, yeah, Raspberry Pis are a lot of fun. You need help, AD. All right. So, where are you up to? Hey, Ms. Yeti, I will follow you back. Follow. All right. So, yo-yo cake. Let's have a quick look at your code. Make sure you saved it. Make sure you've saved it recently. So, where are we up to? Set ball speed to 200. Why? Why have you set the ball speed to 200? What is this madness? Look at it. Why have you set the ball speed to 200? I think you mean to set the ball size to a number. All right, well, let's try that. Well, actually, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we run it like this. Oh, lordy. We're going to, like, immediately die, right? Oh, interesting. Oh, you set it back, of course, directly after. So that might be actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Alrighty, so you've got your power-ups. Set power-up type. Okay. That all seems good. Change ball seeds. Change ball size. Yeah, extra ball faster, slower, bigger. Extra ball faster. Okay, one thing you've got is you've got slow in your list and slower in your code. So make sure that they both say slow or they both say slower. That's one thing you need to change. That's in the Powerup code. The ball speed does go back down to 8. So yeah, I think ball size. If you set it to 200, then this is what it will look like. What? So yeah, you can have the yeah. So apart from that, I think you're fine. Yo-yo cake. Very good, AD. Very good. All right, so we've got our costumes working. Our costumes tie to the names of our power-ups in our list. We have code for each item in our list. Let's test it, make sure it works. Maybe. Oh, wait, no. We haven't set the costume yet, have we? So there's one last thing that we need to do. We need to switch costume. So put this underneath the repeat until touching the death zone or the line or whatever you've called it. Switch costume. And then we grab power up type. So it will go right near the top of the when I start as clone code. After it says repeat until, you need to switch costume to your variable power up type. Okay? Now let's give this a try. Let's make this big. So now you should be able to have different power-ups that do different things, and you can make them look however you like, and you can add more power-ups. So one power-up that I have in my original version of the game is I made some different costumes of the paddle. I didn't want to change the size of the panel using code. I wanted to change the sort of width of it. So I made different costumes that were different widths, and I have power-ups that make the paddle get wider or narrower. I'll show you what that looks like when we're playing, although you guys have probably seen it. So like the purple ones make you really narrow. The sort of really light green ones, that sort of teal colour. So look at the really narrow ones, that's like a bad thing. This one makes the balls big, the red one. The plus one makes extra balls. Oh, come on, all right. So there we go. So you can add something that changes the length of your paddle. There's other common power-ups would be a power-up where your ball doesn't bounce off the bricks, it just goes through them. It just sort of, if you've got layers of bricks, it just sort of goes and just plows through all of them. That one's a lot of fun. And that one wouldn't be too hard. You would basically need a piece of code, a variable that turned on and off. It would be like a brick bounce variable that was either on or off, and you'd have a power-up that turned that variable off. And when in your code, your balls would have another if inside the if touching brick that would say, is the brick bounce variable on or off? And then that way you could have a power up that could change the way that your balls move, your bouncy balls. Yeah, right. So there's a lot of stuff. That you can do with Breakout games. Is the remake in 3D, Mezietti? Because there was a PS1, a PlayStation 1 version of Breakout that was great fun. It was really good. It had a ton of different power-ups. It was really good. So basically, that's all the coding I'm going to show you today. But by all means, guys, take this code and add some more power-ups. So if you guys are ready, post in chat saying that your game is ready and I can play it. Blake, your cat emoji summoned him. Up we come, Jin. He appeared. He appeared for you, Blake. So, everyone save your code. Make sure it's saved. I'm going to check it out. No, I'm looking in the wrong place. Let's have a look at Infamous. Sorry for the slow start today, guys. Apologies for that. We had some technical difficulties. All right, let's have a look. Let's see if the... Do you have your Breakout game here? Oh, here it is. I was looking in the wrong place anyway. I was looking in the search results and I should have just gone straight to your page. All right, so let's see how far are we along? Ah, this is cool. This is cool. Oh, I like the colors you've chosen for the gem. Nice. I still love that your bricks come closer to you. Yeah, there we go. There we go. You could even do silly stuff like have power-ups that all they do is they change the color of your paddle or change the color of your bouncy ball, something like that. Huh. Oh no, we've got to try and bounce some of these here. Over here, please. Oh no. Come on. Actually, it's not too bad because we don't lose if they touch the end. And if we can get the bouncy balls to like go above them, that wouldn't be too bad. I'll make this bigger. Huh. Yeah, there we go. Oh, have you made code that kills you if they touch the end? If you have, that's awesome. Is there a stop all here? Because our game stopped. That's interesting. We still had balls, unless did I miss see it? I wonder. Let's play this one again. I'll refresh it though, just in case. Refresh. Yeah, make a Breakout, Mezietti. So feel free to take the code that I've got here. Otherwise, all the live streams that I've done previously, part 1 and part 2, they're still on. They're on YouTube. Oh yeah, it's in the. So yeah, by all means, Mezietti, go back and have a look at the code there. Yes, I see Blake now. It's in the line. That's good, Blake. That's really cool. I like that. So it's kind of like a mix of Breakout and Space Invaders. Love it. Love your work. That's awesome. All right, that's sweet. Let's have another quick go of Let's see how Yo-Yo Cakes has come along. Let's go to... Let's leave here. Yo-Yo Cake. If anyone else is in chat who's got a game for me to play, Ms. Yeti, we can play one of your games if you like. Because I always try and finish up the stream by playing a few games before we stop. A bit of fun towards the end. Here it is, Breakout. Let's give it a play. Hope you saved it recently, AD. Oh no, wrong thing. Make it big. Good. All right. Oh yeah, I've got to remember to use keyboard controls. I like this as well. You've got keyboard controls. Oh, I missed it. Ah! Now there's one piece of code I think we might be missing here. Oh, that's all right. So we've got one piece of code that's missing here. That's the ball code. Yes. Okay. So we've run out of. So the bouncy balls have all gone, but the game hasn't stopped, which isn't a big deal because you can't do anything anyway. So you can just start it again anyway. But we do have a piece of code that's meant to stop the game, and it's right here. But we have a problem, and the problem is just here. So it's right underneath when green flag clicked in the code for the ball, right? And what we want is at the end there's a forever that says if balls, and in your case it says less than 0. What is less than 0? Is 0 less than 0? What is -1 less than 0? Is 1 less than 0? So the problem with the code here is it's meant to check to see if you have 0 balls or less, which means it needs to say less than 1, which I know is confusing because I'll often say we need to know if we have 0 balls or less. Like if we need to check if this, if we're doing like HP or score, is it 0 or less? So, and I know that it also seems weird, like why are we saying or less? Why can't we just have equals? But you can have weird glitches where if you have this variable ticking down, then if something goes wrong, it can go below 0 into like a minus number. And if you skip that 0, and your code only checks to see if it equals 0, then you'll run into problems. So, after all that, what I mean to say is, you need to change your code so it's if balls less than 1, right? You need that in the code at the end of when green flag clicked. Make that change for me now, Yo-Yo Cake, so that your game can be lost. We'll test it now just to make sure it works. Oh, I like that you've got WASD as well as left and right arrows. So let's see if we lose. Yeah, see, there we go. Just going to refresh as well, see if there's anything. Like if we have a look at the power-ups, the power-up code. Ah, yes. Now, the other thing that you missed, Yo-Yo Cake, is, although you might have gotten this and just not saved recently, you need a set costume 2. And this needs to be set costume to power up type. And this needs to go right underneath repeat until. And then if you've got a bunch of different costumes, as long as you've named the costumes correctly, you're good to go. You need to name them after the power-ups that you want. Ultra Space Shuttle. Let's check that out. And then that will be us for today, I think. My stuff. No, we want Ms. Yeti. Ms. Yeti. Alrighty, so we want Ultra Space Shuttle. I might just search for it. Ultra Space Shuttle Mezietti. Uh-oh. Now, normally I'd ask you to link to it, but I think YouTube chat doesn't let you link. So I've got to try and find it. Ultra Space Shuttle, you say? Where is it? I don't see it. Oh, wait, it might be the next page. Next. Ultra Space Shuttle. Ah, I don't see it. Are you sure it's shared? Have you hit shared? Share on it. I wonder if you could message it to me in Scratch, because we're following each other on Scratch now. You might be able to message it to me. Otherwise, if you tune in tomorrow, I always need games to play at the beginning of the session. So if you tune in tomorrow at 3:30, make sure it's ready for me. We'll play it then. Okay? All right. Oh, there. When you say there, I don't know. Third to last line in the middle of the line. I missed it. Third to last line in the middle. Oh, Ultra Space Shuttle. I completely missed it. Oh, sorry. I was reading it very fast. And now what's going to happen is you're going to see that there's a delay. Because I'm getting all of your... I mentioned this usually at the beginning, but when we do streaming, you are receiving my video on a delay. So you're going to be going mad, going, it's right there, I just told you, read the chat. But it's okay, I have. It's just that you're receiving this video late. All right, so let's play it. So up arrow keys, LR arrow keys, turn WASD, Q and E. This is very cool. Can we fall, I wonder? So let's see, Q and E, RCS. That's also just turning. Left, right arrow keys. Ah, I see. It's pretty loud. I'm going to turn this down for me. I wonder if we're going to fall and hit something. Play. Whoop. We'll try and maintain a speed. We're a pretty fast speed now. Okay, we're traveling pretty quick. This is very cool. Very cool indeed. I have a feeling that like maybe I'm missing something, but that is okay. Let's have a look at chat. You can burn to with the arrow keys. Can't figure out how to make gravity. That's fair enough, fair enough. This type of gravity is different though, because we've done gravity before, Blake, but we've always done like platformer style gravity, whereas this is like a spaceship game with everything else, like the planet moving away. So yeah. It would be a bit different, but yeah, the principles would be the same. Let's have a look at the shuttle code. Hey, lots of stuff. Yeah, we've got lots of variables for keeping track of the scrolling, where we are on the screen. Nice. This is very cool. Yeah, you got the collision detection using the My Blocks to do that. That's very cool. Very cool indeed. All right, well, look, I hope you guys have had fun today. Tomorrow we're starting a new series. Tomorrow we're going to start making a Pokemon game. So this is, and you could use this to make like a JRPG as well, like Final Fantasy style. We're going to do it in Scratch. So feel free to tune in then, and then on Thursday, 3:30, just the same as tomorrow's 3:30, we're also doing Pokemon Part 2, and then we'll probably do at least Pokemon Part 3 next week. And then we'll see how many Pokemon parts we want to do, and then we'll mix things up and do some other stuff. I think next week we might try doing a pixel art session next week. Not this week, but next week. Anyway, hope you guys tune in for Pokemon tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. So that's pretty much everything, guys. So as always, if there's stuff that you want to see, try and make sure that you leave a comment in the YouTube video. I always check the YouTube videos. Otherwise, if you can't access YouTube because you don't have like access on your YouTube account, maybe because you're too young, feel free to message me through Scratch. And don't forget that we've also got our studio. Feel free, if you type in Futures Lab Studio, feel free to, well, maybe I just need to type in Futures Lab. Futures Lab Coder Dojo, maybe? Is it Futures Lab one word? Oh, studios. I need to be looking in the right place, don't I? I think just Futures Lab should be fine. Futures Lab in Studios. There we go, the Futures Lab, Coder Dojo. So if you just type in Futures Lab, 2 different words, you'll find our studio there. Feel free to add your projects to the studio. If you're not a curator, I will try to invite you. Invite curators. There you go, Mezietti. Just make sure that you don't spam like just every project that you do in here. Try and just put like your favorite projects in here, because this is how other ninjas in the Coder Dojo will be able to find you. And yeah, have like some of your favorite projects that you've put in here, and also just make sure that you aren't make sure that you aren't putting what's it called, stuff that's inappropriate. So like nothing that's like any swearing or anything like that. And also no COVID-19 games. Like that's everywhere, and it's this is a place we want to be like a place where you can go to get away from all talk of like COVID-19 and such. All right, so we do these every Monday and Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 p.m. So yeah, until I see you guys tomorrow for Pokemon at 3:30, stay awesome. Be cool to each other and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time, ninjas.